We've all been conditioned to believe that we have to have more. That if we get more stuff, it's going to give us the freedom that we're all searching for. But from my experience, we're thinking about this all wrong. It's not about having more. It's about needing less. So the way I set my life up from day one was to not need more stuff. I didn't want to be one of those people that had to be stuck in a job trying to make ends meet my entire life. That is not the person I was meant to be. And I knew that very early on. It's just not in my DNA to work my entire life. To make it to 65 and retire at an old age where I can't do all the things in life I want to do, I wanted to get out early. And in order for me to get out early, I had to live my life more frugally. And that brought me a lot of freedom because at the age of 39, I retired from the workforce. And I didn't retire because I invested. I didn't retire with a pension. I retired because everything I own is now paid for. And I was able to use the money I had saved from living frugally to get the freedom that I always craved. Because the problem is that when you adopt this mindset where you have to have more, then you're always stuck working. And it may be that you're working a job that you don't necessarily enjoy, with people that you don't necessarily enjoy working with, in a field that you're not necessarily passionate about. And that can be very degrading. It can really drain you and bring you down. I was very fortunate to work in a career field that I was very passionate about, but I know that's not the case for everybody. And I've had jobs prior to starting my career in 2005 that I absolutely was not passionate about and that I hated. So I can relate to that. I know exactly what that's like. And to think that I could have been stuck in one of those jobs working to have more, trying to get the freedom that I was chasing for my entire life until I made it to 65 or maybe even 70 or beyond, only to retire at a very old age and not be able to live my life and do the things in life I wanted to do while I was young enough to do them and enjoy them, to me would have been like a death sentence. That is terrifying. It's a terrifying reality, and I think a lot of people in America are facing that reality today. And it's because we've set ourselves up to want to have more, to have more. And when we put ourselves in these positions where we have all this stuff and we have all these bills, because all this stuff adds up, then you're going to be stuck in that job. You're never going to be able to escape. So it really pays to live your life more simply and to set yourself up in a way that you don't require as much in terms of money. Because if you only spend $1 and that's all you need to get by, then you could retire on $1. And I know that's an extreme example, but it should really highlight what is possible. Because, let's use $15,000 as an example. So if your annual expenses is $15,000 because everything that you own is paid for, you don't have a lot of stuff, you don't have any bills, you don't have any loans or anything like that, that means that you could either retire out or you could have a job that grants you $15,000 a year and you could get by. Because as long as you're breaking even, you could live on that $15,000 a year for the rest of your life. And that might sound like an extreme example, but that's how I've set my life up. Because my annual expenses are around $15,000 to $20,000 a year. And that's me living the same exact lifestyle I was back when I had a job. I haven't changed anything. It's just that I've set myself up to be as financially free as I can possibly be while still getting by. And that's what it's all about. It's about living below your means. Not chasing more, not needing more, but needing less. And that means not just needing less in terms of materialistic stuff, but also needing less in terms of money. Because when your annual expenses are much lower and you don't have this financial burden that's being held over your head, then you don't need to have a job that makes 6 figures a year. You can get by with $50,000 or $60,000 a year just fine. How do I know that? Because I did that for 85% of my career. So one of the most powerful things we can do to set ourselves up to be free, it really just boils down to getting away from this consumerism, materialistic mindset. Because the staggering statistic in America right now is that virtually nobody has any kind of significant savings whatsoever. And that's kind of scary because that means that if you lose your job and you go a month or two without working, then you're basically going to be homeless. I think it's very important and very powerful to at least have a year's or 2 years worth of savings put back so that if something happens, you're not left scrambling. Because that kind of stuff happens and we see it every single day. Companies do layoffs, they go bankrupt, they fire employees, They don't always have to have a reason to do that. And that's a crappy situation, but that's the reality of it. And if we've all set ourselves up in a way that we require so much money and we need so much to get by, that's a very scary situation, because if something happens, you're going to be in a very bad position. So one of the best things that we can do for ourselves is just to get away from that mindset. Understand that it's not about needing more. It's about not comparing yourself to people, not caring about what they think, not trying to impress people, but about living below your means. And there's a lot of things that we can do for ourselves that's going to put us in that position. Stop buying new stuff. Don't go out and buy the brand new iPhone when it first comes out. Don't go out and buy brand new cars and pay tons of money on insurance and registrations and taxes, and not having to have the biggest house in the nicest neighborhood, not having to buy designer clothes and eat at the fanciest restaurants and have 5 to 10 streaming services and unlimited this and unlimited that. You don't need all that stuff. We've conditioned ourselves to believe that we do, but we really don't. And as a matter of fact, I think all that stuff just kind of makes us more unhappy, because we get all that stuff and we think it's going to make us happy and we think it's going to give us all this freedom. And once we get it, we realize that it doesn't. And then we realize that we're now trapped in this job that we probably don't enjoy, because we have to pay for all this stuff that we thought was going to make us happy, but it didn't. And that's a vicious cycle that can leave you feeling trapped, hopeless, and just really in a general state of despair. And what it really boils down to is that's not what life is about. Life is about experience. It's about building relationships. It's about meeting people, exploring, building, creating, innovating, doing all the things that we as humans are kind of designed to do. The things that we've been doing throughout all of history. Those are the things that are going to bring us meaning and purpose, and that are going to set us free. So if you take one thing away from this video, just let it be that you're not going to find freedom in needing more. You're going to find freedom in needing less.